day in lockdown, I woke up really early before anyone else in the house was awake. I discovered that overnight a door had appeared in the house that wasn't there before. It was a big wooden door covered in flowers. Curious, I opened the door and stepped through. On the other side, there was a giant tree, and at the foot of the tree, there were rainbow flowers that smelled glorious. Amongst the rainbow flowers, there was a snail with a huge shell. He was moving really fast, which confused me because snails usually move very slowly. He looked at me and said, "Salut!" Ah, this was a French snail. Slightly baffled, I waved back and watched as he started sliding up the tree. I decided to follow him. As I was climbing through the branches, I noticed a bright orange caterpillar with long antennae crawling along one of the leaves. "Hola!" said the caterpillar. Ah, this was a Spanish caterpillar. Just as I was following the snail, the caterpillar seemed to follow me. As I and the snail and the caterpillar reached the top of the tree, it appeared we were in the middle of an enchanted forest. The sun was shining, and it was so warm it must have been midday already. We started walking along the path ahead and exploring. The snail and the caterpillar stayed with me, but they didn't say much. Further along the path, a cave magically appeared. Inside lived a Yeti who came to the edge of the cave to say hello. He waved, and we all waved back with hands and antennae. "Would you like to come inside for a snowball fight?" said the Yeti. A snowball fight, I thought. But the midday sun is warm upon my face and there is no snow. How can we have a snowball fight? As the Yeti turned around, gesturing for us to follow, I noticed that there were icicles on his back. It must be cold inside the cave. Just as we were about to enter the cave, a massive boulder appeared out of nowhere and blocked the entrance with the Yeti inside. The snail, the caterpillar, and I all yelped, "Oh no!" What were we going to do? "Can anybody help us?" I shouted. None of us were big enough or strong enough to move the boulder. I looked around and shouted a bit more in the hope of some help. As I sat down on the floor to think, a beetle scuttled along and stopped right next to my foot. In a teeny tiny voice, he said, "Selby." This beetle spoke Latin. So many languages spoken in this enchanted forest. The beetle was smaller than all of us, and so I didn't think he could be of any help moving the boulder. "I am a magic beetle," he said. "I have the ability to move really big things hundreds and thousands and millions of times bigger than I am. Would you like me to move the boulder?" "Oh, yes, please," the snail, the caterpillar, and I exclaimed together. The magic beetle scuttled under the boulder and amazingly lifted it onto his back and moved it away from the cave. Hooray! The entrance was clear. The snail and the caterpillar and the beetle and I all entered the cave. It was indeed very cold and quite dark, and there was snow all around. We couldn't see the entrance to the cave anymore. There was just snow for miles around. A snowball suddenly hit me on the back. I turned around, and there was the Yeti again, laughing as he started to make another snowball. We all made snowballs and laughed as we threw them at each other. I liked my new friends, and we were having lots of fun playing together, but I was getting tired and started to wonder how I would get back home. We continued into the cave and followed many paths. There seemed to be many different seasons within this cave. The first part had been winter in the snow. Then there was a section with lambs and daffodils in the spring, a part with a sandy beach and hot sun and the sea in summer, and another section with golden trees in the autumn. This was a great adventure. It was very exciting and unpredictable, but I was getting tired and hungry now and wanted to go home. Through the golden trees in the autumn of the cave, I could see what looked like the top of a giant slide. I walked over and had a look. It was indeed a giant slide. I turned to the snail and the caterpillar and the beetle and the Yeti and asked if we should slide down the slide. They told me that the slide leads back to the door that would take me back home. "Come with me," I said. "Oh, we can't," said the Yeti. "We have to stay here and look after the cave in the enchanted forest, but maybe you'll come back and play with us again one day. It was really fun and we're really happy that you came to visit." I was sad to say goodbye to the animals, but I needed to get back home. I pushed myself from the top of the slide, and sure enough, I ended up at the wooden door next to the tree and the rainbow flowers. I opened the door and stepped back into my house. It was bedtime already, and so I headed straight upstairs. As I climbed the stairs, I thought about my adventure, how it had been exciting, but also a bit scary when I wasn't sure how I would get back home again, although I would like to do it again sometime. I was so tired that as soon as my head hit the pillow, I fell asleep. I awoke the next day and wondered what my new friends might be getting up to in the enchanted forest today. As I was laying in bed, hoping that I could see them again one day, I heard a little voice say, "Selby!" That's odd, I thought. That's just what the magic beetle sounded like. I looked down at my trousers that I'd been wearing the day before, which I'd left in a pile on the floor, and from the pocket crawled out the magic beetle. "What are you doing here?" I asked. "Well," said the beetle, "I had so much fun playing with you yesterday that I wanted to come and play in your world and have another adventure with you. So I hid in your pocket just before you slid down the giant slide and came back home with you." I wasn't sure if my world was as exciting as his, but I got dressed and we headed into another day of exploring. Maybe there would be something heavy that needed lifting,